Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Reese on the radio, and on the show tonight is Michael Gay of The Michael Gay Show on Blog Talk Radio. We'll talk to him about Donald Trump supporters, if he is indeed an independent, and plenty of other stuff. Stick around. The Reese on the Radio show starts right now. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Reese on the radio, and on the air, I have live with me now none other than Michael Gay of The Michael Gay Show on Blog Talk Radio, which airs on Saturdays on Blog Talk Radio. And is it 3 p.m. Pacific time, Michael?
Correct.
All right, 3 p.m. Pacific time. It is a weekly show where he talks about politics and pop culture, as I do. Unfortunately, Michael Gay is on the opposite side of the spectrum. I see him as a leftist, a Democrat, a liberal. Michael Gay would dispute that. Michael, here's your opportunity to dispute that. You're not either left or right? Is that what it is that you usually tell people?
Yeah, it depends on what the situation is, when you listen to what somebody says as far as, what they're going to do for the country, or not just for the country, but just for your community. There's some people on the left I don't agree with, of their plans. There's some people on the right I do agree with. You got some that kind of, straddle the fence a little bit. I'm sure there's been some that do that, but, you can't make everybody happy.
Okay.
I do agree with some Republicans. I disagree with some Democrats.
Well, we'll get into some of that, because I'm of the belief that many people who say that they're neither left nor right, when you actually probe them on it, you find out that they're pretty leftist. Anyway, so we'll give you that opportunity to either prove me.
Because you're on the right, correct?
Yeah, I'm a conservative. I always will. I never
right,
ever.
So you're on the right. So of course you're going to look at it that way. But people have their own, mindset of how they want to look at things. Not everybody is completely left, and not everybody is completely right.
That's exactly why I said I'm going to give you the opportunity to find out where it is that you are conservative. But let's get into the reason why I wanted you on the show. And this was about the post that you put on September 11th, talking about the, as many people are calling it, the secret recordings that Donald Trump was exposed, even though he was doing an interview with Bob Woodward of the Washington Post for his book called Rage.
Were they secret though? But were those recordings secret?
No.
Did Woodward always record everybody that he interviewed?
Yes,
was
yes.
it not known that he sometimes record
It wasn't.
the people that he's talking to?
It wasn't secret, and Donald Trump didn't know that it was being recorded. But anyway, let's get into the post that you put there. I'll read it. It says, "I'm not surprised. Said he was keeping America from panicking. America did panic. They bought everything. Meats, freezers, grills, water, paper towels, toilet paper, gloves, masks, hand sanitizer, bleach, more home security systems, and much more. America did panic. This president does not know the difference. He's never experienced what it's like to be poor or middle class. Unfortunately, many of his base think that he will make them equal with him and his millionaire friends. Keep dreaming. You will continue to be puppets supporting racism on their behalf as we continue to fight in the streets. You will continue to hate color of skin while they smile at the color of the money they are making from your ignorance. Many will continue to be ignorant. Many don't know better. If you love America, why do you fly flags of hate, Nazi and Confederate? You don't love America. You want America to not be what it is meant to be. Land of the free and home of the brave. Well, it was many people from all over the world that made it possible for America. You right? So let's
Yeah, I posted that.
I know you did. It's on your page and it's up on the screen for everyone to see. So let's talk about what it is that you wrote here, and I want to get your feedback here. Let's talk about the most important part of this. It said America did panic. They bought everything: meats, freezers, grills, and etc. Michael Gay, half the country did not vote for Donald Trump, and it's safe to say that many people in this country don't trust a word that comes out the president's mouth, you included. How could America, as you put it, as a whole, have panicked because of something that the president did or did not say? Isn't it true that the reason why America panicked in the fashion that you put it was because the media did that, where they usually process and get most of their information? Yes or no?
I would say, of course, the media is going to tell what is going on as far as here's a virus, here's something that's all over the world. So it's letting you know, yeah, the numbers are going up. The numbers were going up in other countries. We knew that. It didn't hit here. What did the president do? It'll go away like magic. It'll go away. We only have 15 people. But then when you listen to the tapes, he knew that this was a deadly virus. But he kept blowing it off. In all honesty, I really wish he would have just been upfront and said, okay, hey, look, you guys, this is no joke. Be careful. Even to this day, he blows it off. But people are still dying. Now, I know you and others will say, well, people die of the flu every year. I watched his press conference like last week, and he was talking about, well, people die of the flu. He turned to one of the other people in his, what is it, the
Coronavirus task force team?
How many hundreds of thousands? No, this is what he said. How many hundreds of thousands of people die each year of the flu? And the gentleman said, well, around 30,000. Now listen to what he says, hundreds of thousands. But the gentleman said about 30,000 a year.
It's actually close. Somewhere, in some cases, it's close to 60,000 people who died.
60,000. Now look at where we are now, and it hasn't even been a whole year.
Sure.
Now I know a lot of folks say, oh well, it's not the coronavirus. It could be something else and the virus does help it along. Of course, if you have underlying conditions.
Absolutely, comorbidities.
If it's 60,000, and here we are in September, hasn't been a full year yet, and we're about to hit the 200,000 mark.
Okay.
There's got to be something to it, but like I said, I would have, respected him a lot more when he knew about this and when he even said it on this, as you said, secret taping. And he was saying, hey, this stuff can kill you. You know what I mean? This is really serious stuff. This is really bad. It's bad. But you know it. Why not just say it?
But just to clear this up, it wasn't just the president who knew about the coronavirus. This was being talked about across the spectrum, across every medium. It was on the news. There were reporters, there were scientists on ad nauseum every day on television. It seems like you're putting a lot of weight or a lot of the information giving on the back of the President of the United States when there was access to anyone and everyone, as far as people of the medical field who could give that information to the public. In fact, they did just that. Many doctors came forward. I mean, you had people like Sanjay Gupta. You had medical physicians, and I'm forgetting names now, but there are plenty of physicians who were on television. Dr. Fauci was doing interviews with everyone, online, blogs, regular mainstream media. So it sounds like the president, in your view, was the core person responsible for getting information out to people and not our media or doctors or physicians.
Here's the thing, Reese, what gets me is that now, a lot of folks say, well, Dr. Fauci don't know what he's talking about. This doctor don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, he doesn't.
That doctor don't know. He said this 3 months ago, and now he's changed his tune. He's changed his tone.
These are all relevant. But these are all relevant.
What I look at is this, is that if you're dealing with something you've never dealt with before, then you got to
Did we listen to just one doctor?
I was wrong about that. Maybe you should wear a mask. Maybe you should.
Michael, Look, we're on the phone with Michael Gay of the Michael Gay Show on Blog Talk Radio, folks. If you're just joining in, and of course, if you can see it right there. Michael Gay, you seem to be suggesting that Dr. Fauci was the only person that anyone should have been listening to. When people say that Dr.
That's not saying that. No, I didn't say that's the only one people should be listening to. No, you can listen to. It's just like you go to the doctor, and he tells you this. A lot of people get second opinions. I agree with that. But
Okay.
and as you said, there was a lot of people on different media platforms, not just CNN, not just MSNBC, Fox, a host of others, had a lot to say about this virus.
Right.
I mean, it's the news.
And it's fair to say.
It's what gets ratings. It gets people.
But it's fair to say that people were getting their information from the media, not from the president. Is that fair to say?
You're saying that you're getting the information from the media.
Yeah, you're saying that the president should have been more forthcoming, but it's fair to say that people were getting their information from the news media, not from the president. The president was not, although he was holding briefings every day, it was the news media that was informing people on a daily basis. Is that not true?
Right, that's what they do.
Okay.
Right, that's why they are.
Okay.
The media, they're on 24.
I just wanted-
As I mentioned, all the stations are on.
I just wanted
But
to.
as I just said, had the president had spoke up with just the flat out truth up front, I think more people would have been like, well, he was honest with them.
Wait, but okay, but what's that? Hold
Well,
on.
how come he didn't tell the truth?
Wait. Okay, so
Even people in the Republican Party, and some that I even know, friends of mine that I even work with, were like, well, that's a shocker. He knew all along.
No, I get that.
I mean, it's just like this, Reese. If you know that the Kool-Aid got poison in it, you gonna let me drink it?
No. Okay, first of all, you're pettifogging. Here's what I'm saying to you. The president, and I know, but the president.
He knew that this was bad, and he could have came forward up front.
I understand that you're saying that he could have come forward. I understand that you're saying he could have come forward and said that it was much deadlier than it was, but we had media outlets that were telling people that it was deadly. They were not relying on just the president giving said information. People were gathering information. It was everywhere online. Everyone was talking about it. People made their own determination. They did not rely solely on the president or whether or not he said it was serious or not. I understand that people are making that the issue, but then again, that's neither here nor there. Let's get into some more about what it is that you said in this post. This was the most important. The president doesn't know the difference. He's never experienced what it's like to be poor or middle class. What does this mean, and why is that relevant?
What does it mean, and why is it relevant? Well, if you know the history of this president, keep in mind this is a president who, as you well know, I mean, he was given money at a young age. If you look at the money that he was given from his father at the age he was given it, that was given to him. I mean, in today's world, I mean, that would add up to millions and millions of dollars. He never knew what it was like to be poor. He never knew what it was like to be in middle class because he lived up in the upper class. This is the only person I know or have ever seen. I'm not going to say I know, that I've ever seen, knows everything. He knows everything. He's the best.
Well, let's hold on. I don't want to get off subject. Michael, wait. I don't want to. Michael, wait.
What it's like to come up living in a lower.
Why is that relevant? That he was wealthy.
I'm not saying. Like,
No. Hold on, Michael. Wait. I don't want you to answer. Michael, I don't want you to answer the question before I ask it. Are you suggesting that because Donald Trump is rich, he has no connection with other people because of their monetary status? Is that what it is that you're saying?
You know what? Yeah. They say he's rich, which more than likely he is. But it's funny. He don't want nobody to know nothing.
No. Again, you're going off on it. You're going off the subject.
We know that he had his brand. His brand was on all kinds of items, all kinds of products.
Yes,
Right.
listen, I know that, Michael, that's not relevant to the question I'm asking you. The question I'm asking you is that he doesn't know the difference. He doesn't know what it's like to be poor or middle class. So therefore, he cannot address those issues because he is wealthy. Is that what it is that you're saying?
No, that's not saying that by him not being poor or anything. To me, he can't relate to people who are.
Why not?
He can't.
Why not?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it whatsoever.
No, that's not.
I haven't seen him relate to anybody in that manner.
Wait. How does one relate to someone who is poor or middle class? How does one do that? Because it's almost like saying because he has wealth, he can't understand the struggles of someone because he's poor because he has money. That doesn't make sense to me, and I need you to explain how it is that someone who is rich does not understand someone who's middle class. That's what I'm trying to understand.
I think that by him being on the level that he's on, that he just never can actually be the type of person who could be, what's the word I'm looking for? He doesn't catch me as a person who has any kind of my mind just slipped of the word I'm trying to look for. But it's like if someone were to sit there and say, hey, look, this is what I've been dealing with, this, that, he'll just shake his head like, I can't, the word is on the tip of my tongue, but he
can't relate.
Or doesn't hit me like he has any kind of understanding of that. It's like, oh, well, that's your loss, or look, that's tough on you. I mean, it's just that type of feeling I get from him.
Okay. All right.
That's how I feel now.
I'm not going to
saying that because he is rich, but I think that just the way he grew up, that he just doesn't have any. But
here's why I'm asking you this, because you're almost making my point for me. Have you ever been rich? You're almost making my point for me. Have you ever been rich to the level of Donald Trump?
No.
Okay, so no, you never have. So how can you relate to what he relates to?
How can I relate
to what because you've never been rich. Wait. You've never been rich or wealthy to the level of Donald Trump. How do you know what he can and cannot relate to? You've never been rich. Wouldn't you have to be rich to understand how rich people think? Because you said he's rich. He can't possibly understand what poor people think. So you've never been rich. How do you know what rich people think?
Oh, I know some people that have some money, and I know how they think.
Oh, you know that they think.
And I know how some of them think, and I know that just knowing their demeanor and how they act. Some, the ones that I do know, I mean, they have kind of, just a different way of talking to people. Listening to how Donald Trump talks to me is just demeaning. How he's demeaning to different people of different cultures and everything.
Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to hear from your mouth.
Just by the way, I'm gonna say this. Just by the way that he demeans different races.
Well, I don't think that he demeans different. I don't think he demeans.
I think he feels the same. You don't think he demeans?
No, I don't. But that's a discussion for another time. I don't want to go down a beaten path. We'll get into that another time.
He could not. That's how I feel.
Okay, these are your opinions. These are your opinions. I'm not so much here to challenge your opinions, other than to get an understanding of them. Okay, let's go. Okay, well, let's go on. Anyway, you said, unfortunately, many of his base think that he will make them equal to him and his millionaire friends. Tell me how you know this.
I didn't catch the last part.
Oh, this is what you wrote. Unfortunately, many of his friends or many of his base think he will make them equal with him and his millionaire friends. Keep dreaming. How do you know this?
I look at it where, when I wrote that, and I'm just being honest, when I wrote that, it's because when I listen to people
Wealthy.
I guess I shouldn't use the term equal as a millionaire for the friends. I was kind of like ranting at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like a lot of people just feel like he's gonna just bring them back up to a point of where they're gonna be on a level from where they are at this lower level to where they're gonna be at a higher level, which I don't see it. I just don't see it.
Well, let me ask you this as a follow-up to that. Is there a degree of presumption on your part that that's what his base thinks? Is there a degree of presumption on your part?
Yeah, I can say, yeah. I can honestly say there's a degree of presumption, yeah.
Okay, so you don't know this. This is just something that you think. There's no evidence to back this up.
Correct. There's no evidence. That's true.
Okay, good enough. All right. You also go so far as to say you will continue to be puppets supporting racism on their behalf as we continue to fight in the streets. So you believe that his...
I said that because, and I'll explain the reason why I said that, because, I hear people say, oh, Barack Obama is the one who started. Look at the racism that's going on now. I mean, seriously, you really want to say that folks want to say Barack Obama started this? Look at the killings that are going on now. Look at the riots that are going on now. And then when you look at these advertisements saying, this is Biden's America, mind you, the videos that you're looking at is happening right now in Trump's America. This is on his watch. These are not videos.
Well, wait, Michael, listen. I've got to push back. No, wait. Before you go any further, listen, keep your thought with where you're going to go. But I got to push back on something you just said. These riots, I have to push back. You can finish your thought, but I have to push back on what you just said. You said the riots that are happening in Donald Trump's America. You're 100% right. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. The riots that are happening in the streets. Okay, so that we understand it. Hold on, Michael.
You can't say this is going to happen.
Michael.
But if Biden becomes president,
Michael,
Biden's not president.
Michael, let me finish my thought. Okay, listen to what I'm saying. You're right. What's happening is happening under Donald Trump's watch. The riots that are happening in the streets. Is there a counter riot that is happening in the streets of Portland, Seattle, New York, in Arizona? Are there counter riots? Like, is there one riot where buildings are being burned down in the name of racial justice, and other ones that are being burned down for law and order and making America great again? Are there two different factions rioting in the street, or is there just one side to these riots? And please be honest.
There's two different factions, to me, because the fact that as you notice, like, even now they're saying, Portland, this and that going on in Portland. It's not all over the city of Portland.
I understand that it's not. Let's not. Look. I don't want to go off in the weeds.
It's in an area downtown. The way the media, and I'll bring it up, just like you said, true. The media makes it seem like it's the entire city.
I understand that. I'm not talking about that, though, Michael. There are not two warring factions where these riots are taking place. It is one group fighting for one cause that are burning down businesses and burning down federal buildings and going into the suburbs shouting people down on a regular basis. There is no counter protest to these riots that are happening. It's not two different factions with two different ideals. There is one ideal where this is happening. My question to you is that if that's the case, right, and Donald Trump says this is Joe Biden's America, he's very much accurate, because the people who are out there rioting and burning down businesses and terrorizing people walking down the street or having lunch or having dinner out in the streets of some of these cities who are being harassed, the one common theme amongst those people is either Black Lives Matter or Donald Trump needs to get out of office. It is the same groups who have the same ideals that are doing that. So when he says this is Biden's America, these people are fighting to get Donald Trump out of office and to get Joe Biden in. It's without question.
So let me ask you this. So every incident that happens in America, everybody wants to turn around and say, it's Black Lives Matter. Now I know you've seen where protests that go on. And as the officers say, okay, then why do they do curfews? Because they know that's when most of the rioting starts happening. That's when the burning of the buildings and the looting and everything happens. But look at who they're showing in the movie.
The rioting is a result of people who want to oust the President of the United States. That's a fact, and you know it. You can make an argument with me about the semantics of the peaceful protesters versus the people burning down buildings. You cannot, and you won't get any attention as a peaceful protester. Why? Because violence in the street, innocent people's business is being destroyed, is going to be a focal point on people who are trying.
The rioting is about the President of the United States. Is that what you're saying?
What, are you suggesting that the rioting in the street has nothing to do with the President of the United States?
Are you suggesting that the rioting in the streets has nothing to do with the murders of unarmed black people?
Actually, I'm going to. In fact, I'm going to. No, I'm actually going to say both. I'm going to say. Wait. I'm going to say.
But hold on, Reese. But then you look at it. You got to look at the frustration. It's like
I don't care about the frustration, Michael. If you're here, Michael, listen to me. If you're here to argue.
Remember the LA riot?
Michael,
everybody thought
we're not.
These officers were not found guilty.
Michael, we're not going to argue. Michael, we're not going to argue the semantics. We're not going to argue the semantics of people's frustration. Wrong is wrong. Innocent people's.
It's a fact.
Sure. No. If you're.
It's going to overflow.
Okay, fine, Michael. If that's what it is that you believe, that's fine. Like I said, I don't want to get into the weeds with you about this. That's another discussion. I'll be happy to go through that with you. Excuse me. At another time. I just want to stick to the points that you're making here. Okay, so we don't go off into the weeds. I want to keep this very focused. Okay. Anyway.
Most people do try to avoid when I start speaking out about it, because when you say it's all about the president, no, it's about the murders of black unarmed people.
Okay.
Justice has not prevailed.
And burning down innocent people's. Listen to me. And burning. Michael. I'm not saying that. Michael, burning down innocent people's businesses as retaliation for the death of George Floyd is always going to be wrong. Okay.
But look at the people who they catch on film that are doing it.
I don't care.
Sure.
I don't care. And nor should you. You should care about any innocent person, be they business owner or regular citizen, having to.
I care about everybody. Any innocent person. I don't think anybody should deserve to be harmed.
Then just, Michael, listen. I don't want to put yourself. I don't want you to put yourself in a position where you're making excuses for rioters. So, trees.
I'm not making excuses.
Okay. All right. Then that's why I said let's move on. Anyway, let's go into the next line you said in here. You will continue to hate color of skin. You were talking about Trump supporters. You will continue to hate color of skin. Is this presumption on your part?
No. I think I'm speaking directly to people who do hate color of skin. I'm not putting everybody in the one basket, but there are people who do hate the color of a person's skin.
Yes, Michael, but you're talking specifically about Trump's base. Is there a degree of presumption that Trump's base cares about the color of skin?
Is there a degree of presumption that Trump's
you are presuming that Trump's base are racist and hate people for the color of their skin. Is that what it is that you're saying?
In my opinion, I believe that I do believe white of few, if not more than half, do. I truly do.
You believe that? Okay. And this is based on what evidence?
Based on the evidence of when you look at individuals who get into fist fights with people spitting on folks, damn near running over kids, flying flags, having Trump paraphernalia, just being outright racist. That's
so
part of his base.
We're broad stroking a part of people. See, there's a reason why I'm asking you this. So you're taking some people who might be flying Confederate flags. You're also saying some people who have Trump flags, who might get into fist fights or spit on other people who are opposed to them. that the blanket of Trump's base care about the color of people's skin. Yet you
I didn't say for everybody in his base. I said a good portion.
A good portion. Hold on. If that's important, Mike, it's important that I get to this. If that is relevant, if that is the basis of your argument, just a moment ago, you wanted to separate and make a difference, if you will, a differentiation, if that is a word, between the rioters and the peaceful protesters. You wanted to make that distinction. So I'm trying to figure out how you can make a distinction on your side that peaceful protesters are not to be aligned with the people who are burning and looting and attacking people. But Trump's base, the people who are spitting and fighting and carrying Confederate flags, gets to blanket the entire group. Now, why do you get to distinct or make distinctions where you don't make the same, you don't give the same leverage, if you will, for Trump supporters?
Well, if you let me answer, let me tell you what I meant by that. When I was speaking about, the peaceful protesters, and normally when you would see, which you said that, let's not talk semantics and this and the other, semantics, I was saying that, no, you do have peaceful protesters, and I'll even go as far as to say you do have Trump supporters who are not violent, right? You do have that on both sides. But I'm just saying that what's so sad to me is that automatically, if Black Lives Matter marches down the street during the day, and then all of a sudden some rioters come out at night, oh, it's Black Lives Matter. But look at the people who were coming out, and it was even proven. In fact, I'm sure you know about this group called Boogaloo, who went out and killed 2 police officers because they wanted to start this. They wanted to make it look like it was some protesters.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that. We'll get into that another time. What my point is that you see my point is that you're making it clear.
Going back to what you said, but now when you said that I'm trying to blanket all Trump's,
no,
I didn't say I'd say all of them.
Okay, well that's fair. I'm glad that you're not. Right. So therefore, then we're saying that was.
I'm saying everybody.
Okay. Anyway, you go on to say many will continue to be.
I'm directing it to those individuals, not every Trump supporter, but I'm directing it to those who act in that manner.
Okay, and you don't clear that up in your statement. This is very blanketed, and that's the reason why I'm asking you about it, because not that I was affected by it, but it was something that I thought that I should have a discussion, and I want people to hear from people who spew this and say this about those on the other side. So anyway, let me continue. Anyway, you went on to say, many will continue to be ignorant, many don't know better. If you love America, why do you fly flags of hate? Nazi and Confederate. Please, what the Nazi and Confederate flags, these seem to be things that I've not seen as far as people who are haters. And if I were to, wait, flying a flag of hate as opposed to burning down an innocent person's home or building or of business pairs in comparison. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, let me clarify that for you also. There's a term called "to the victor goes the spoils." Am I right?
Sure.
Did the Nazis win?
No.
Did the Confederate Army win?
No.
Okay. So what was the Confederate Army about? What were they fighting?
To keep slavery.
Okay. And what about the Nazis?
The Nazis were to eradicate Jews.
Okay, so when you say that, why would you want to fly a flag like that? If you so much for America, why not just fly an American flag?
I don't have one disagreement with you.
Hold on. Why would you want to fly a Nazi flag?
Again?
With a kid, and then you want to fly a Confederate flag?
Again, I have no...
If you're going to keep black people as your servant,
Okay.
So to me, it's like you want that good old, I mean, if you flying the Nazi flag, it's like, yeah, still kill the Jews. If you fly the Confederate flag, it's like, well, hey, you know what? I wish we still had slavery.
Okay, I understand. I get what you're saying, Michael, but again, I am not. Wait. I do not in no way. Listen, I don't in any way whatsoever condone the Confederate flag or Nazis for that matter. That is not my point. My point of this discussion is you blanketing an entire base of Donald Trump supporters as Nazis and Confederates, and this is.
I did not. No. Back up, because remember when you called me earlier, you said that I said that Donald Trump.
No. Okay, I get what I called you earlier, and I said Donald Trump. Yes.
Totally. I can talk just like you can, but I'm just saying that you said that to me, and when I caught you saying that, I said that's not what I said.
And I corrected myself, Michael, but you're still not. You're listen. You're pettifogging. You're pettifogging for the sake of pettifogging. This whole post. Listen, Michael. This whole post.
About the Nazi and the Confederate flag, I didn't say all Trump supporters. I was.
It's in the context of his base, Michael. Michael, you go on to talk. Michael, the context of your post references Trump's base, and then you make an association with them with Nazis and Confederacy. This isn't something that I made up for you. This is something you wrote. So I'm asking you, if you don't believe that people who are Trump's base, if you don't believe, I should say, that they are part of a Confederacy and Nazis, then you should make that clear. But what you write here is that these people hate America, want to keep black people as slaves. Anyone who supports Donald Trump is a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, and a xenophobe. And you know that none of that is true. And you should totally, and you should, but you should dial that down because you know it isn't true.
Well, no, hold on. The thing is that, okay, as I said, when I wrote that because I'm envisioning these things and I'm looking at these things and I'm witnessing these things. I live here in the South, all right? I live here in Georgia. And I've been living here for some time. I'm not originally from here. But since I've been here, I've seen so much racism here in this state that I never thought I would ever see. Especially in the 21st century. I mean, this is 2020 and you still that racist? You still?
There's nothing you can do about that. But there's nothing you can do about that, Michael.
No, I'm saying, and I know racism exists all over the country, but I was just so much into thinking of where, as I just explained to you, and don't say I'm blanketing all of Trump's supporters. I'm not saying that. I know not every Trump supporter rides around, in a pickup truck with Confederate flags. I know not every one. As I said before, I'm directing those comments to those individuals who do.
Okay.
Because, as I just said, those are two flags of hatred.
Okay. And listen to me, irrefutable.
If you're so much America, we're going to make America great again. Just fly
Look, Michael, listen, the fact that you brought up making America great again, I'm going to say something to this, okay? Listen.
What does that mean?
Listen, I'll tell you what it means. I'll tell you what it means, and it's undeniable. Okay? In November of 2008 and November of 2012, America was a great country. Because both of those years, okay, we elected the first black president, Barack Hussein Obama, for the first term and the second term. And African Americans were celebrating that America was a great place. So this nonsense about America was never great is bullshit. Okay? Because there were people in black communities across the country and people across the globe who were dancing in the street at how great America was. That's irrefutable. You know it's there. You can look it up anywhere you try. You can deny it all you want, but those are facts. it decided, for some odd reason, to not be great at the election of Donald J. Trump. So all of this nonsense that America was never great, or Donald Trump saying make America great again, is some sort of buzzword or some sort of dog whistle that America is racist, that America is racist. Listen to me. That America is racist is bullshit. It is.
No, but you know why people didn't like that term. You know where that term came from, right?
Yeah, Bill Clinton.
I know you know.
Bill Clinton.
So where's that term come from?
Bill Clinton. The term came from Bill Clinton. Yes.
Said, make America great again.
Yes, he did. There's plenty of speeches. Look it up.
Okay.
Yes, Bill Clinton. Make America great again was first used by Bill Clinton. It's never used by a Nazi. Not used by a Nazi.
I haven't seen where Bill Clinton.
Well, maybe you should. Maybe you should. Maybe you should. Anyway, we'll take a break. When we come right back, I want to get into a couple of other subjects real quick with Michael Gay, because we've only got him for a limited time. Stick around. Reese on Radio returns. All right, we're back with Michael Gay from The Michael Gay Show on Blog Talk Radio, which airs on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Pacific time. You can check Michael out. He talks about everything from news, politics, and pop culture. Michael, thank you again for staying with us. I want to have a discussion with you today also about systemic racism. If you've listened to Kings in the Morning in the last couple of weeks, there was a very heated debate about systemic racism, and I was making the argument that systemic racism is a myth. And pretty much... No, that's fine. Let me explain to you why it is. Let me tell you why it is that I think that it is a myth. Okay? In order for something to be systemic, it has to affect the entire body. And that's what I mean. Like, a systemic cancer means that you have cancer everywhere, every part of your extremities, right? Breast cancer is not systemic cancer, right? To use an analogy, okay? You do not treat the foot if you have breast cancer, right? So this theory or this myth about systemic racism is something that's been repeated over and over again, and now for some odd reason it has weight. Systemic racism is not something that goes through the entire system because of anecdotes. What I mean by that is you can't take George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and then suggest that their lives and the death of those individuals is a fabric of systemic racism. In order for that to be true, every African American would have to experience what George Floyd and Breonna Taylor have experienced. We would have to walk out every day, and every police officer in every facet of the police department is going to take one of the 40 million African Americans that they all are going to experience what Breonna Taylor and George Floyd or Jason Blake or whomever, Eric Garner, they are all going to experience that. There is no systemic racism in the banking system because JP Morgan Chase or Wells Fargo behaved poorly when it came to African American applicants for a loan. That is not evidence of systemic racism throughout banking, because that would also suggest that if it's systemic in the banking system, that black banks practice the same systemic racism, which we know that not to be true.
Can I intervene for a moment? So, because I'm on a train of thought here with what you just said.
Sure.
And I understand what you mean. That every individual will have to experience the same thing that they did. No, you don't have to experience exactly what they did. Mm-hmm. You have to experience the fact that this could be you.
Tell me how.
And if we go back to when we were talking about Donald Trump, you look at it where Donald Trump was sued for racism as far as his complex.
So?
When you raise black people, right?
So?
He was sued. Okay, they were not sued and they did not lose in court. The Trumps.
I'm shocked again. So, that's anecdotal. What's that got to do with
system?
system?
So hold on. I'm $100 more all of a sudden.
So?
What was it about when that house was looked at the first time so different?
Michael?
So?
Michael? Yeah.
No, wait a minute. You're saying so?
Yeah, let me explain. Do you want to know why I'm saying so? Do you want to know why I'm saying so?
What made that house different when everything that had anything to do with black was removed?
Look. Let me humor you here. The appraiser and this black woman. Let's use your analogy here.
Okay? But it wasn't a black woman.
Well, a white woman, whatever. Listen. Okay,
That's
listen.
the point of it. And when you talk about banks and everything and the loans and everything,
Michael, I'm trying before you go off on a tear. Let me just use your anecdote here.
Okay.
Yeah, listen what I'm saying. The appraiser represents all appraisers? Yes or no?
No.
Hold on. The definition of systemic would mean all appraisers, wouldn't it?
The
definition of systemic racism.
But as an appraiser, though, but Reese, let me interject this. But as an appraiser, you do have guidelines. Am I right?
I'm well aware of somebody having guidelines, but you're, again, pettifogging. Again, this is anecdotal. Listen to me. Anecdotes are not definitions of systematic or systemic racism. One individual's interaction with another, be it racist or not, does not broad stroke an entire industry by any means. It would be like saying, if one black man robbed me, all blacks are thieves and robbers and muggers. That's what anecdotes.
There are people who believe that.
No. But who cares whether or not they believe it? It's a question of whether or not it's true.
But let's go back to what you said. But that's the assumption that is put out there.
So that
all black people are that way. That's the assumption.
Wait. Michael, you're going off.
I'm not putting a blanket on everybody.
Michael, I'm not suggesting that it isn't the assumption of most people. Just like I know that it's the assumption that if one person goes through racism by a police officer, that means it condemns the entire police department. Just because someone believes it, excuse me, because someone believes it doesn't make it.
You know what?
Why?
I just want to intervene on that there. I do not condemn. I want this very clear. I don't want any of your listeners to think that I hate all cops.
I'm not making that claim. I'm not making that claim, Michael.
And I have no. I'm just saying. I just want to clarify that I don't feel that way. Unfortunately, some folks just hate the police.
I know that, Michael. I'm not making that claim. I want to stick to where it is that we are, Michael. Again, you gave me an anecdote of someone who was appraising their house, and that they got a poor appraisal, and you believe that it was because of racism. My point to you was anecdotal situations of racism does not condemn the entire system. These are individual situations where racism occurred. I'm making the argument that systemic racism, in order for that to no longer be a myth, we have to say that what happened to George Floyd happens to every African American in the country. It does not. It has to suggest that every police officer. Wait. You have to let me finish.
Here's where you're wrong. Here's where you're wrong, Reese. I gotta cut you off on that. Here's where you're wrong. Not every African American in the country has a knee on their neck for 8 minutes and die. No, that doesn't happen.
But they could, right?
Not every African American in this country, or not everybody in this country, has watched and seen something like that, where it's showing that there's a systemic racial treatment of African Americans.
Where is that true?
Unarmed.
Wait. Again, Michael, hold on. Where is?
Hold on, Reese, but let me finish. It's systematic because you see this every day, almost not every day,
See, that's okay. Michael, stop for a second. Michael, hold on for 1 second, Michael. Listen. That's my point. No.
When Jerry gets into a fight with two police officers, right? And it's one female and one male. Jerry manages to keep wrestling with them, take their baton,
You're
strike
missing.
both of them with it.
You're still, and I don't understand why it is that you can't get it.
Now, let me ask you a question. How come Jerry wasn't tased? And how come Jerry
I'm going to
wasn't
explain it.
shot?
I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to explain it to you, Michael, if you give me an opportunity. Okay?
There's a different treatment.
Listen to me. You're talking about one incident, and you're suggesting
One
that.
that we know of.
Wait.
One that we know of.
Wait. Hold on. Stop, Michael. This is again. So you're making my case. You don't even know that you are.
You're not explaining why.
Well, you haven't let me finish. I'll finish it for you. You're making my case. If George Floyd and Breonna Taylor are systemic, we'd have George Floyd's and Breonna Taylor's every day. We don't. Every minute of the day we'd have it. We don't. That's one. Two, talking about one guy, Jerry, does not suggest that every white person that deals with police does not get tased or shot. We know that's untrue because the FBI and police statistics tell us otherwise. There are plenty of white people who interact with police who end up being shot who are unarmed. So we know that to be true. But again, if it's systemic, it would happen every day. It doesn't. It would happen with every single officer on the force. It doesn't. Talking about, and again, this is my point, so understand the definition of systemic. In order for it to be systemic, it must happen every day to everyone. It does not. And you know that to be true, so therefore it debunks the idea of systemic racism. In order for it to be systemic,
It's not about it happening to everyone.
It has to.
I guess maybe, maybe the term should not have been used as systemic, but the thing is that as African Americans, in my opinion, we're more of a target, and unfortunately, we do not get the justice that we should get.
I disagree.
Breonna Taylor was murdered. She was murdered. They were at the wrong house. They had the wrong information, and they murdered that woman.
Now tell me how every cop.
And here's the sad thing about it is that where other people's lives were put into danger, that's how come the
Please,
police went ahead and fought that
Michael,
officer the other day.
tell me how every police department. Please tell me how every police department across this country is responsible for the actions of those who killed Breonna Taylor. Tell me how their actions are indicative. Wait. How are their actions indicative of every police department in the country? Tell me how.
I'm not saying that it's indicative.
Then it's not systemic.
What I'm saying is that where, unfortunately, there's not being addressed in a fashion that it should be. Explain to me how is it possible, let me finish, how is it possible that school shootings, the person that goes in there and shoots up the school, majority of the time, walks out of there, or that person is able to be arrested?
I don't know.
On a black person.
What? Okay, but what about that? Wait. But what about that? Hold on. Wait, Michael. What does that have to do with?
Let me finish. I know you're good at this, Reese.
Go ahead.
So am I. An unarmed black person, which is caught on video, we know about the school shootings, and every time the excuse is, oh, he had mental problems.
Adam Lanza didn't walk out alive. Adam Lanza did not walk out alive.
Who?
Adam Lanza. He didn't walk out alive.
No, but the majority of them do.
But that's actually not true either. In Columbine, those two boys didn't walk out alive.
I know. That's in my mind. The thing is that right.
So what are you talking about?
But the guy in the
mass shooters are killed. Wait. Mass shooters are often killed by police or kill themselves. Where's this overwhelming amount of people? What are you talking about? The Denver shooting at the Batman movie?
What I'm trying to say to you is, if you listen to me just a second, these are black people, Reese, that are unarmed.
Again, the numbers. Wait.
A man, look, Castillo, he told the officer, yes, I have a license, I have a gun. He was shot and murdered.
Again, actually, the Castillo. Do you ever notice why the? Do you ever notice? Listen to me.
He told him.
Do you even?
Before he was murdered. I have a gun.
Did you?
I have a license.
Listen to me. Do you notice that the Castillo story is never? Do you notice that the Castillo story is never ever talked about? You should look that up. The Castillo story is not. The Castillo story is not what it seems to be. In fact, the reason why they don't talk about it is because it doesn't fit the narrative. Do you believe Michael Brown? You believe Michael Brown was killed unarmed?
According to the story, he didn't have a weapon on him.
No, he didn't. But did he reach for the officer's weapon?
That's what they.
No. Please don't tell me that's what they say, because if you're going to say they, Michael, if you're going to say they, hold on. Michael, wait. Michael, if you're going to say they, let's be, Michael, if we're going to say they, let's be accurate. The they you're talking about is Attorney General Eric Holder, who went to Ferguson to investigate it. Right? The first black Attorney General under Barack Obama, who investigated it and found out that Michael Brown did indeed attack Darren Wilson, Officer Wilson. So the reason why they don't talk about him is because of the same case. So this idea that it happens all the time, there were 9 killings of unarmed African Americans in 2019. 9! That is not the definition or even close to systemic racism by the police department. 0. There were over 300 million interactions between the public and the police every year. 9 African Americans were killed who were unarmed by police. So please explain to me how that sums up to systemic racism in the police department.
You said that. Okay, let me back up here. I have to back up where you said that. 9 African Americans
In 2019,
in 2019
were killed by police who were unarmed. By unarmed, they were killed by police.
Because what I'm saying is that your audio is in and out.
I'm sorry.
At times,
I'll repeat it. In 2019, 9 unarmed African Americans were killed by police. Last year, there were over 300 million interactions between the police and the public. Only 9 African Americans who were unarmed were killed by police. Please explain to me how that is the definition of systemic racism within the police department.
Again, I'll say, as I said before, I think that the term, as far as systemic racism, is just a term that's put out there because, again, as I said, that there is something about us, meaning African Americans, that we tend to be the ones who are being killed. We're just going by our everyday thing.
The number of white Americans was 14. The number of white Americans who were unarmed killed by police the same year were 14.
How many?
14.
14. Okay, so what is the ratio of black versus white in America?
I would say 3-1, if not 4-1.
If you're more of the population, there's a possibility that if there's more white people in America than black, of course that number might seem a little higher, but because you outnumber us.
But again, if you want to make the comparison of whites versus blacks, whites have more interactions. Wait a minute. Whites have more interactions with police than African Americans do.
More interactions?
Whites have more interactions with police than blacks do.
That's what's reported.
No, sir. I'm sorry. With all due respect, if it isn't reported, we can't guess, so let's not. Okay? You and I are not. We're not Kreskin. We're not. You know, these people who just grab numbers out of the ether. We're taking the numbers that are reported. There were 14 unarmed white people who were killed in 2019 by police officers. There were 9 who were unarmed who were African American killed by police. There were over 300 million interactions between the police and the citizens. Those numbers are 14 and 9 respectively, as I already said. My question is that we're being led to believe that this is a systemic issue when we know that in the same year, last year, over 8,000 African Americans were killed due to gun violence in the United States. Over 600 of them were in one city known as Chicago. So if this is a huge problem and death is the issue, it's not about how they die, death is the issue. There were people rioting in the streets for 9 people who died last year, but not one person is bringing up the 8,000 who died last year. Many of them, children, little girls, women, the like. No conversation.
You know, and I'm going to be very honest with you. You know, yeah, that frustrates me. That pisses me off. I agree with you on that. That where when something like that, especially with children, when that happens, and you know, no one speaks up about it. I sometimes go to the courthouse and listen to cases. On days off, I really do. I go to a courthouse, and I just happened to go into a courthouse one day where 2 women were shot and killed over a rivalry between 2 guys or whatever it was between the 2. And unfortunately, 2 women were killed, and a little boy was injured from the gunshots, and he was in the courtroom to testify. Yeah, that I do agree with you. As the community, as a community, you know, black people in their communities need to stop that type of violence. It doesn't make any sense. I can't debate that. Not at all. I can't debate that at all.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say that, yeah.
Okay, all right.
I agree with you on that. It needs to stop.
We'll leave it. We'll leave it there.
But why is it happening?
Sure.
And how can we, you know, because as you well know, on many of the shows we talk about those type of things.
I know you do. I just wanted your take. I just wanted your take on that. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come right back.
And the last thing I want to say is that once we do that, yeah, that would be great. But also, I have to go to the fact of where we can't be unarmed and killed by police. You know, unfortunately, we do have situations where blacks are killing blacks, but
it's not a set. It's not. It's not.
And whites kill white. True, everybody kills everybody, but yeah, I agree
Michael,
with you on that.
Michael, it's not a situation.
We gotta stop this whole thing with this shooting of unarmed folks. Period.
Michael, it's not a situation where blacks are killing blacks, but an epidemic. Excuse me. My back is killing me. But an epidemic when police officers kill unarmed blacks. You can't be one or the other. But we'll take a break. When we come back, when we return, we'll talk about the Black Lives Matter mission statement with Michael Gay, and get his take on their mission statement.
I got a little bit more time left with Reese, and then I gotta run.
You got it. It'll be 2 or 3 minutes, I promise. All right, stick around. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with Michael Gay right here on the Reese on the Radio Show. Michael, the Black Lives Matter movement is a Marxist organization. That is no longer conjecture. That was the exact terminology used by one of its founders. In fact, many people in the Black Lives Matter leadership have brought up the fact that they are trained Marxists. The part that I'm concerned about as a black man, and I'm sure you are concerned of as a black man, is a part about the Black Lives Matter that's in their mission statement and what they believe. Let me read that to you. It says, we make our spaces family friendly to enable parents to fully participate with their children. We dismantled the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts so that they can mother in private even as they participate in public justice work. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. Now, I read that to you because it is often argued that Black Lives Matter rarely, if ever, appears when young black people, children, men, women, whatever, in the black community are killed by their own. Yet in their mission statement, they say that they collectively care for one another. Is that a disconnect in your view?
You know, when you read that, the first thing that crossed my mind was a group of individuals back in the 60s, and I think you know what I'm talking about, right? In fact, their whole mantra was started with it was black.
Sure.
And I'm talking about Black Panthers.
Sure.
Right? When the Black Panthers, one thing that the Black Panthers did was they did care for the community in other ways.
Right.
They fed the community.
Sure did.
You know, they started, food programs, kindergarten or classrooms for young kids.
Sure.
That's what it makes me think about. That's what I would hope. And now, me personally, I'm not a Black Lives follower. I'm not going to say a supporter, because unfortunately, you do have different offsprings of groups. You follow me? It's just like the KKK. You got some KKK folks that are nonviolent. Mm-hmm. They just believe in white supremacy.
Sure, absolutely.
You got some that are right. You got different offsprings. You know, so
are you comparing Black Lives Matter to factions of the Klan?
No, I'm saying that you have. I just said you have offsprings of groups who believe in certain things that they say or that they believe in, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying the offspring of, I'm just saying that where Black Lives Matter, that you got different groups in different states, different cities, it's just like with, as I said, like with the Klan, you got different groups that are violent and some that are not. You follow what I'm saying? They believe in white supremacy, but they don't have to be violent about it.
Okay, well, here's what I'm asking you.
Black Lives Matter believes in their cause and what do they stand for.
Well, what they stand for, they said that they want to disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure. The nuclear family structure is fathers and mothers in the household. In fact, the last part I just read, there's no mention of fathers. That last line says, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. There's no mention of fathers. Why would they exclude black men in their mission? Why?
You know, to be honest, I can't really answer to that question because I don't know what they term as far as the nucleus, or what do they look at?
The nuclear family, the definition of a nuclear family.
Right, without a father, right? Without a father.
Yeah, the nuclear family is mother and father.
I can't agree. Based on how you're reading it, and I'm not saying that you're reading it wrong, and if that's what they mean, I can't agree with that. I think there should be a family nucleus, of course.
Well, there's a reason.
That's what they meant, where, excluding a father, I disagree with that.
Yeah, well, the reason why they placed that in there is because the next paragraph pretty much sums it up. The next paragraph starts with, we foster a queer affirming network. So they want to eliminate fathers.
So let me ask you this. Okay, in fact, where did you get this from? On their website?
This is on blacklivesmatter.com.
Okay. I haven't read it. I'm just being honest. I haven't read it. I think I've heard you read this before on Jay King's show.
Yeah, I have.
And so I meant to go and take a look at it. But
so you find that to be problematic?
Yeah, I don't agree with that. That statement. If they're saying to destroy the family, no, I don't agree with that.
But yet you have the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. They're all got Black Lives Matter plastered everywhere. And here is a group that wants to promote a queer affirming network and destroy the nuclear family. Do you think that that's somewhat misguided?
Well, I think that by having the term Black Lives Matter doesn't necessarily mean that you're supporting that particular movement. I'm not saying that the NFL is or isn't.
Sure, they are.
I can't say that for sure. But I'm just saying that where just using the term, you saw where I sent you a video clip, right, of a comedy skit.
Yeah.
And to me, and I just said, that I don't follow Black Lives Matter. I see stuff, that they do or that they're involved in. I don't wear the hats or the shirts or anything. No, I don't. I wear my own son's hats. But anyway, but I agree with the term when I'm seeing Black lives being snuffed out. As I said before, individuals who didn't do anything wrong. It's just like Miss Johnson here in Atlanta, Georgia. They went to the wrong house. They shot that 70-something-year-old woman dead. Plainclothes officers at the wrong house based on what do they call them? A CO?
No-knock warrant?
Yeah, no-knock warrant, and everything. And she shot, which it showed where she was looking at the fact that somebody was breaking her house. Mind you, they removed bars and everything from her door. She didn't shoot straight through the door. She shot above the door. Mm-hmm. As to me, that evidence shows that she was just giving a warning shot. Hey, I got a gun too.
It's not the definition of racism, though.
Killed this woman, and she's been living there for years.
But it's not the definition of racism.
But my point is this: is that but the fact of I think it's Michael Chi, where it's not saying that Black lives matter more than other lives. Black lives matter.
Well, guess what? I have nothing against Black Lives Matter, but I'm gonna say all lives matter.
And I just want to say is that when you look at the killings and you look at officers who you look at the videos and everything, and keep in mind we see a lot of videos of Black people being killed. So that we matter too. Look at
and we do matter.
She winds up dead in a jail cell. Oh well, she killed herself.
Listen,
come on,
Michael, these are not. Michael, these are not.
Videos or any stories about white folks killing themselves in
Michael,
a jail cell, other than
Michael, these are not examples of racism. These are examples of rogue police officers, maybe doing something wrong, maybe doing something criminal. But again, if you care about people losing their lives, let's be a little even-keeled about this. Let's care about the 8,000 African Americans who died in 2019 as much as we do about the 9 who died. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like I said, even on my show, sometimes I play devil advocate, because that's what I always try to do is that where I even tell my co-hosts, I'm going to play devil's advocate. What about this? What about that? And hear their responses. I'm not one that claims to know everything. I'm not one to claim that I have the answer to everything and I agree with just this one side of it. You have to look at both sides of it. Well, that's why I do what I do.
I'm glad you do.
So I do this to where you hear everybody's point of view. And, it's not about a gotcha moment. It's about, think about it now. You're talking about this, but what about that?
Okay. I promised that I promised the listeners and the people viewing that I would give you a litmus test You said that you're not left, you're not right. You said you agree with some conservatism as well as you do with some liberalism. I'll let you go on this one. I'll give you
a litmus test.
A litmus test.
Okay.
All right, and you will tell me. And the litmus test is really, really simple. You say you're not a leftist. You say you're not right wing. You're somewhere down the middle. So therefore, that means you believe in some conservatism versus some liberalism. Name the most name the most conservative. Say the most conservative you are. What's the one thing you're the most conservative of?
The one thing most conservative about me.
Yeah.
I believe that the government shouldn't support everybody. I believe that. I believe that in less government, because the more government we have, the more problems we're going to have. Granted, the government has already put us in a situation where we have to do more programs like we used to do years ago. Granted, we have to. How should I put it? Start, with schooling, with kids and everything. Don't take programs out of school that the government can pay for. Don't turn around and blame states about things that the government owns and is in charge of. I believe in those things. I believe that when you're talking about, I hear everybody says, we want our kids to have a good education. You're not doing it. You're not doing it when you remove certain things. If you want to be conservative, okay, be conservative on some things, but not conservative toward the kids.
I believe in conservatism for the kids. You know what's conservative for kids? Here's conservative for children. Children should have the right to school choice. They should be allowed to go to any school they want to. That gives them the best education. They should not be chained to a failing school. I believe that parents should have the choice to put their kids in a successful school.
But right, the parents should have the choice, but then again, is that where some parents don't have the choice of sending their kids to certain schools, but the things that where the government supplies the states. So there should be a mandate of whether government money goes to, well, the state should go ahead and take care of these public schools.
Well, they should, but they take care of the unions first, Michael.
It looks like ones that we see now.
They take care of the unions, Michael.
The one thing is somebody dropped the ball somewhere.
Yes.
Because it just doesn't make any sense. Somebody
yes,
dropping the ball.
Michael. The state takes care of the unions. That's the problem. That's the reason why kids should have school choice, and they should go to schools that are successful and where teachers can be fired. In case you don't know, in order for the public worker unions to fire a teacher, it costs the state close to $500,000 to fire one teacher. So that's the reason why they don't fire them, and that's why their jobs are pretty much secure.
But you said public worker union, right?
That's what the teachers' unions are, public worker unions.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that's the reason why. That's the reason why kids should have school choice, and charter schools should be an opportunity for parents to get their kids in successful schools and get them out of the failing school system.
So you think that just go ahead and get rid of public school?
I believe so. I believe that if the market can either dictate whether or not a product does well or not. If the Twinkie sucks, nobody buys it and Twinkie fails. The school system should work the same way. If teachers fail the students, if they have an 86% failure rate at a school, that means the teachers are not performing and the kids are not being educated. That teacher should be fired, and it shouldn't cost the public $500,000 to get rid of one teacher. Okay? Shouldn't. It should not cost that much. So if you have a system, a built-in system that protects those teachers and not the kids, where the priority is with the teachers union and not with the children, children will continue to stay in failing schools. If the private sector has always produced better results, this is why Catholic schools, parochial schools perform way better than public schools, because public schools have no ceiling on how they can fail a kid, where the private schools do.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all my point is. But thank you, Michael. I appreciate you taking the time to me. I know you've got phone calls to make, and I know it's late. You're on the East Coast with me, so thank you for spending time. I hope that you will come back and have more discussions about more topics. We do have the election coming up, so I'd love to have you on again. Thank you very much.
And of course, I'd love for you to stop by our show, if you don't mind. Saturdays, 3 p.m. Pacific.
That's right.
6 p.m.
Yes.
Eastern on Blog Talk Radio. This is the Michael Gay Show with my co-host, Janet Davis, Officer Jeffrey Crenshaw, Bernie B-Man Jones, the one and only Denise L. Wilkerson of the legendary Ladies of the Sky, and Cotton Campbell. So we have a lot of fun, and we talk politics, but we talk, as you said, pop culture, and we do have some great, amazing musical guests.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, and we'll see you next time, folks. It's Reese on the Radio. Thank you for joining us tonight. Holler.